TIFU by not understanding the male anatomy. TIFU by completely misunderstanding male anatomy. This happened to me yesterday. My male partner had made some kind of movement to put his little hanging friends in a bad position. After making some loud noises and readjusting, he said something along the lines of, "You'd think I'd know how they handled them, they've been hanging for 30 years. Well, me, thinking I was very clever, said, "Well, only really since high school. When did yours drop?" He burst out laughing and I still didn't understand because I had always heard of it being referred to as a male's balls dropping. FYI, that does not happen, and apparently men find the idea of them just popping out one day hilarious. I suddenly sympathize with the men who don't understand periods. I got about 5 minutes of straight laughter and am sure he will bring this up many times in the years to come. TLDR, I thought men's testicles were inside the body and dropped out during puberty. They don't. Wait until she find out our penis falls off around puberty and our adult penis grows in. In your biology anatomy education, someone really dropped the balls along the way. I suspect that was in high school. As an infant, my son's doctor was checking that his testicles dropped. I was talking to a friend about it. Her nephew had one test undescended and her husband busted in and started correcting that men don't drop their testicles until they hit their teens. Turned out, he had some problems as well, which he still adamantly denied, despite the fact that they were dealing with fertility issues ATM. That was an awkward conversation. Well, I found out women had one hole for peeing and one for period, sex, birthing, etc. when I was 19 years old. What makes it worse is I am a woman. Just FYI, semen isn't stored in the testicles, either. The testes only create sperm, which travel to the prostate, and only there meet up with the prostate fluid to form semen. Technically they do drop, but it happens when you're still in the womb. I remember not knowing that balls even existed until I was around 15. I thought balls was just another of the many nicknames for the penis. I had sex ed when I was like 11, but I had no idea what was going on or how to interpret medical diagrams, and the atmosphere was so awkward that I was too embarrassed to ask. Lol, no, they don't. It is possible for them to be inside the abdomen, but that's a medical issue that usually requires surgical correction. You should run for Congress and start writing men's health bills immediately. I knew a 20-year-old girl who thought a human penis was hairy all the way to the tip because, IDK, her dog's was? She made this proclamation while watching a porn surrounded by a dozen people of both genders, LOL. I enjoyed this, more of it today. I said something stupid but still a good laugh. You can force them back into the body. There's actually a cavity there for both of them. But I wouldn't recommend it. I was a farm kid and some animals are born with them down, and some aren't. Oddly enough, I never wondered if human babies are born with their testicles undescended, but I've never seen a naked infant. Forgive me, but they don't do this? My memory may be clouded by all the intervening decades, but in fairness I'm pretty sure the scrotum stays a lot more snug to the body before puberty. The dangle to stay cool only really matters once you're actually producing sperm. Click save button. I guess you'll just have to take this on the chin. Unless you're Garth Marenghi, then they drop and don't stop dropping until they're like 2 marbles in a hiking sock, then on your 30th birthday they went right up again. Imagine if that was the universal male puberty sign: your balls appear when you're sleeping. Men always get prejudiced for not knowing women's biology, and then we get stories like "we just agree that both sides know jack shit about the other," smiley face. Readjusting is important. I sat on mine once. It was shocking to say the least. There is a small village somewhere where the boys seem to be girls until they develop at puberty. TBH, I thought this until high school. It's a common joke to make when a pubescent boy has a voice crack that his balls just dropped, so I assumed the same thing you did. The testes do in fact drop, they just do so normally while a male fetus is still in the womb. Don't feel too bad, as most men think we pee out of our vagina. Actually they do. But it happens still in infancy, hence the insult: you're so immature your balls haven't dropped. Usually it's happened by 9 months. Did you never see a baby? Must never have been around any moms with baby boys. Lol. I honestly don't recall being taught that in health class. We talked about pregnancy and birth, but we didn't get too far into what you actually do with a baby. But I had nieces and nephews to babysit, so I got the experience firsthand. That is pretty funny. It is a misunderstanding but kind of a subtle one. I am sure they become bigger during puberty. So it is sort of true in the same sense that breasts do. Nothing really to heckle you about. It does happen. You just got the timing a little wrong. Testicles descend at around 3 to 6 months, but the little pockets for them will stay there for the rest of a male's life. The testicle increase in size so they won't go back unless they have some sort of medical issue that makes them shrink again. No man you ever speak to will ever remember them being undescended though, because it happens younger than most people have memories from, and certainly not in that detail. This is super funny. TIFU sharing. Nope. Always external. However, balls dropping refers to adolescence when you begin producing sperm which need very tightly controlled heat regulation or they die. So the balls begin to drop and raise to dissipate or garner body heat. It's a special and confusing day for a lad when he wakes up to find his testicles have blossomed. So they are in the body and drop when you're born. At least they are supposed to, hence us guys joking about each other's balls not dropping until yesterday or whatever. If they don't drop at birth, a doctor needs to go in and retrieve them or some shit like that. One chick I was with had never gave head before. I told her I was coming and she knew the gist of what was about to happen. And took it. Choked, coughed, and then snorted it all up and out her nose. I tried to help, I did, but I'd never laughed so fucking hard in my life. What a mess. I guess we can say that it takes some balls to understand male anatomy. GIF emote free emotes pack joy. I was told the phrase comes from horses. I have seen that with stallions, they don't really show until they're about 2 years old or more. They do drop, just before one drops into the world though. Later in life, when we're old, apparently they hit water while sitting on the toilet. I guess if you're lucky to grow that old. A friend in high school was upset the first time she had sex because he wouldn't put his balls in her. Yes, she thought the whole dick and balls goes in. First time she saw a penis, she was confused. She thought that the balls in the 8D was the front of the penis and the head was the stems. I recently asked my boyfriend a bunch of female-related questions. Why do we wear different sizes tampons, where is the cervix, etc. I was pretty proud of him, he only got 1 or 2 wrong. Then he flipped the switch. I was, on the right track so he says. Now I fear for my boyfriend's testicles. You can just push the testicles back up if need be? They do this for certain exams? Also they can twist and you can cut off the circulation and just what? Needless to say I researched a ton after that. GIF GIFEL49K2LMR0C8X7JFM downsized. They actually are in the body and do drop. But it happens in the womb. Oh, man. I had a moment like this with my now wife then 21 when this happened. After being together for a few years, she made some comment about me not being pee sitting down. I asked her in what she meant and she talked about men not being able to pee sitting down because it gets kinked like a hose. I just stared at her and then bust out laughing. Needless to say, I never really realized just how sheltered her parents kept her until that point. After a long laugh attack, I informed her that men can, in fact, pee sitting down. I like tot. Her world got a little bit bigger that day. Till this as well, upside down face. I'm 30 years old, have a male child, have a college degree, and had sex education in grade 9 Canada, so it was pretty liberal. Literally thought boys' testes were up inside them until just before puberty. I had to have an operation to make my balls drop. The scars are exactly where the fallopian tubes would start. Where did you think all the pee is stored until then? I remember my first ball dropping in sophomore biology class. It fell down the sleeve of my shorts while I was presenting. Most embarrassing day of school ever. Second one dropped while I was citing. Managed to hold it until I got to a trash can. But balls do drop. In the fetus stage, they burrow their way through soft tissue and descend into the scrotum, leaving little canals that become prone to hernias. Gonna be hilarious tonight when you talk about the New Year's ball. Does it really drop? Honestly, I'm still confused by people who talk about a guy's balls dropping, because it always sounds like it's in reference to not being a child anymore or something, which means puberty, but apparently this happens as babies. They do drop, but as an infant. Sometimes there's a complication and they don't drop. I had it. They waiting a few years to see if it would happen naturally, but at 9 they still hadn't dropped, so it had to be done surgically. Not a fun time. Are bad men's anatomy? Okay, but I just learned this too. In redneck places they hang from the bumper of their truck. This thread is absolutely nuts. Wait a minute, my balls are supposed to be on the outside? To be fair, they do drop, just happens in uteri, before birth usually. Sometimes they don't and have to be surgically corrected, as testicles that remain within the abdominal cavity are at increased risk for cancer. Don't remember the type off the top of my head. Wait till you get to know about the recurring pain of sperm production that the males face every 2 weeks. In high school, my BFF and I convinced his GF that a percentage of adolescent boys have a time of the month when they have their period and their balls are very tender. Good God, I hope we told her it was a joke. Testicles should have descended from the abdomen by birth. Some boys are born with undescended testicles and they come down in a few months. You're not so off, you just got the timeline way wrong. Or you confused elephant testicles with human testicles. It can happen. TBF, as a male, I have never truly understood what that phrase meant and was never brave enough to have someone explain. Okay, real talk, as a male, I occasionally have wondered, did other guys' balls remain in their body until puberty? I hear about this all the time. Was I just weird? Before Googling it one day and wondering why the hell people say that. This is why sex ed in schools,